I was 34 when my world imploded, and it happened on a Friday night in the heart of Silicon Valley, under the fluorescent hum of Apex Innovations' server room. My name is Sarah Bennett, and for a decade, I'd been the pulse behind Apex, our family's tech startup company I'd bled for, coded for, and sacrificed everything to build. 10 years of 100-hour weeks, a broken marriage, a stress-induced collapse that landed me in the ER, and a personal life so barren my apartment was little more than a mattress and a coffee maker. I'd given it all, believing my father's promise that one day Apex would be mine. That night, as I fought a server crash that threatened to tank our $500 million valuation, I uncovered a truth that made my blood run cold. My family had betrayed me, handing 80% of Apex to my sister, Emily, who couldn't tell Python from a PowerPoint slide. The air in the server room was Arctic, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones when you've been awake for 36 hours straight, mainlining Red Bull and desperation. My fingers flew across the keyboard, lines of code blurring on the monitor as I battled a cascading failure in our flagship AI platform, the one I'd built from scratch. Apex's neural network was my baby, a masterpiece that had turned a scrappy startup in my dad's Palo Alto garage into a tech juggernaut courted by every venture capitalist from San Francisco to Shenzhen. I'd been 10 when I first debugged his clunky code, 15 when I launched my first app, earning his proud grin and the words that shaped my life. Sarah's our tech prodigy. She'll run this place someday. That promise had been my North Star, guiding me through Stanford, past offers from Google and Amazon, and into the relentless grind of Apex's CTO role. Now, at 2 a.m., with the servers screaming and our biggest client, Nexus Corp, expecting a demo in 12 hours, I was neck-deep in a crisis. The platform was glitching, spitting out gibberish predictions, and I couldn't trace the root cause. My team had bailed hours ago, exhausted, leaving me alone in the glass-walled office that felt more like a cage. I dug into the system logs, chasing a ghost in the machine, when I stumbled across a locked directory buried in the admin folder. Legal, confidential, 2025. My gut twisted. I shouldn't have been snooping, but something about the encryption military grade, overkill for routine contracts, made my skin prickle. I'd written half the security protocols for Apex. Cracking it took me 20 minutes. What I found stopped my heart. A legal document dated 3 months ago, March 15, 2025, with my father David Bennett's signature scrawled at the bottom. Hereby transfers 80% ownership of Apex Innovations to Emily Claire Bennett, with 20% retained by David and Laura Bennett. My name wasn't mentioned. Not once. My sister Emily, who'd spent her 20s gallivanting as a social media influencer in London, posting selfies from Ibiza and Paris, now owned the company I'd built. Emily, who'd returned 6 months ago after a public scandal involving a shady art dealer boyfriend, had been handed my future. She'd been given a fluffy brand ambassador title, waltzing into board meetings with her designer handbags and zero tech experience, while I was killing myself to keep Apex alive. I sat back, the chair creaking under me, my breath shallow. The server room's hum felt like a pulse mocking my own. 10 years. I'd missed my best friend's wedding because I was debugging code for a $50 million Nexus deal. My marriage to Tom had crumbled when he got tired of coming second to my laptop. I'd spent Christmas Eves alone in this office, eating cold pizza while optimizing algorithms. And for what? So Emily, with her Instagram perfect smile and no clue how to read a stack trace, could take everything. My hands trembled as I printed the document, the pages spitting out like a confession of my family's betrayal. Then it got worse. As I clicked deeper into the directory, my screen froze, and a red alert flashed. Unauthorized access detected. Security protocol initiated. My heart slammed against my ribs. I'd triggered a malware trap embedded in the files, A nasty piece of code designed to lock out intruders, or worse, wipe the system. This wasn't amateur hour. It was sophisticated, the kind of thing a rival like Quantum Dynamics might plant to sabotage us. If it spread, it could corrupt our entire AI core, costing millions and tanking our IPO. I had minutes to contain it. My fingers flew, isolating the infected server, but the malware was fast, burrowing like a virus. Sweat stung my eyes as I rerouted data through a backup node, praying I wasn't too late. By some miracle, I quarantined it, but the damage was done. My trust in my family was shattered, and now I was fighting a digital landmine that could destroy Apex. I didn't sleep that night. By 6 a.m., I was in my office, the ownership papers clutched in my hands, staring at the framed photo on my desk. Me, Dad, Mom, and Emily at Apex's 10th anniversary party. All smiles and champagne. Dad's arm was around me, his eyes gleaming with pride as he toasted, "The future of Apex." Lies. I wanted to scream, to smash the frame, but instead, I called Rachel Chen, my Stanford professor turned tech mogul, the only person I trusted to understand. "Sarah, are you okay?" she answered, her voice sharp with concern. I wasn't. I told her everything, the words spilling out like code I couldn't debug. "They gave it to Emily," I choked. 80%. I'm nothing to them. Rachel didn't sugarcoat it. "That's unconscionable," she said. "But you're Sarah Bennett. You built that company. Document every line of code you wrote, every system you designed. Protect yourself." Her words were a lifeline, pulling me back from the edge. I spent the morning compiling a dossier. Every algorithm I'd crafted, every client deal I'd secured, every late night that had pushed Apex's valuation to the stratosphere. I was meticulous, leaving out proprietary secrets but cataloguing my worth. By noon, I'd drafted my resignation email, cold and professional, effective immediately. I am taking my accumulated 8 weeks of vacation. For all inquiries, contact Emily Bennett. I hit send, turned off my work phone, and felt a sickening mix of freedom and loss. That evening, Apex's annual Gala Lumida glitzy affair at the San Francisco Four Seasons, packed with 500 industry titans, investors, and tech journalists. I'd planned to skip it, but rage propelled me. If my family thought they could erase me quietly, they were wrong. I slipped into a sleek black dress, my power suit of choice, and walked into the ballroom like I owned it. The room buzzed with champagne flutes and fake laughter, but all eyes turned to me. I was the tech genius behind Apex, the one who'd made their investments soar. Dad was at the head table, charming a VC from Shanghai. Mom, ever the PR queen, was air-kissing a reporter. Emily, in a glittering gown, was holding court with influencers, oblivious to the storm coming. I didn't wait for the speeches. I marched to the stage, grabbed the mic, and let the truth rip. "For 10 years I've been the heart of Apex Innovations," I said, my voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. "I built our AI from nothing, turned a garage startup into a $500 million empire, and tonight I learned my family gave 80% of it to my sister, who's never written a line of code." The room gasped. Phones were out, recording. Dad's face went ashen. Mom clutched her pearls. Emily froze, her champagne flute trembling. "So, I'm done," I continued. "Emily owns Apex now. Let her save the IPO." I dropped the mic literally and walked out, the crowd parting like the Red Sea. The fallout was immediate. My phone buzzed with notifications. TechCrunch headlines screaming, "Apex CTO quits in explosive gala speech." Twitter ablaze with speculation. Apex's stock value plummeted 15% by morning. I didn't care. I drove home, the San Francisco skyline blurring through tears I hadn't realized were falling. But the danger wasn't over. At 3 a.m., my phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. "You'll regret crossing us. Watch your back." My blood ran cold. The message included a photo of me leaving the gala, taken from a distance. Someone was watching me, and it wasn't just a disgruntled employee. This felt like Quantum Dynamics, our rival, known for playing dirty. I double-checked my locks, my heart racing, wondering if I'd just painted a target on my back. By Monday, the world was different. I woke to a voicemail from Dad, his voice raw with panic. "Sarah, Nexus is pulling their 50 million contract. They want you, not Emily. Come back now." I deleted it. Another from Mum. "Sweetheart, we're family. This isn't you abandoning us." Deleted. Then, a call from Michael, my lawyer friend, who'd reviewed the ownership papers. "Legally they're clean," he said. "But morally, they screwed you. You could sue for IP theft or walk away and start fresh." I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I wasn't going back to Apex on their terms. That afternoon, I met Rachel for coffee in Palo Alto, her sharp eyes scanning me like code. "You're marketable, Sarah," she said. "Quantum Dynamics would kill to have you. Don't let your family define your worth." That night, I drove to Apex's office to collect my things, choosing 9 p.m. to avoid prying eyes. The building was a ghost town, my keycard still active. I packed my Stanford diploma, my Tech Innovator of the Year award, a photo of me and Dad from the day we hit 100 million in valuation. Then, as I left, headlights flared in the parking lot. A black SUV peeled out after me, tailing me through the dark streets of Menlo Park. My pulse spiked. I floored my Tesla, weaving through traffic, the SUV matching my every turn. At a red light, I caught a glimpse of the Drivera-shadowed figure, face obscured. I lost them on the freeway, my hands shaking so badly I nearly crashed. Was this the hacker from the threatening text? Or something worse? The next morning, another bombshell. An ex-engineer, fired for leaking code, emailed me a zip file labeled Apex Dirty Secrets. Inside was my proprietary AI algorithm, the one I'd spent years perfecting, alongside a demand. 1 million, or it goes to Quantum Dynamics. My stomach churned. If that code leaked, Apex would collapse, and my reputation would be collateral damage. I forwarded it to Michael, who urged me to involve the FBI. "This is corporate blackmail," he said. "You're in over your head." I didn't know who to trust anymore. Not my family, not my former team, not even the security of my own apartment. By Wednesday, the pressure was unbearable. Nexus Corp's CEO, Vanessa Liu, called me directly. "Sarah, we're pulling out unless you're running point," she said. "Emily doesn't know the system. Your family's imploding without you." I wanted to scream that it wasn't my problem, but the weight of a 50 million deal and the jobs tied to it pressed on me. Then, another text from the anonymous hacker. 48 hours. Pay up, or your code's on the dark web. I was trapped, caught between saving a company that betrayed me and protecting my own future from a faceless enemy. As I sat in my apartment, staring at the ownership papers that had gutted me, I knew one thing. I wasn't just fighting for Apex. I was fighting for myself. The city lights of San Francisco glittered outside my apartment window, but inside it felt like a tomb. The ownership papers lay scattered across my coffee table, their stark legalese a constant reminder of the betrayal that had gutted me. It was Monday, 3 days after I'd dropped the mic at Apex Innovations Gala, my public resignation sending shockwaves through Silicon Valley. TechCrunch was having a field day, their headlines screaming, "Apex CTO's explosive exit tanks stock 15%, while X was a cesspool of speculation, some calling me a hero, others a spoiled brat throwing a tantrum. I didn't care about the noise. What I cared about was the silence from my family dad's voicemail demanding I return to save the 50 million Nexus Corp contract Mom's guilt-laced pleas, and Emily's conspicuous absence. I told them to let Emily, the new 80% owner of Apex, code it herself. But the truth was, I was unraveling, questioning who I was, without the company I'd built from my father's garage dreams. My phone buzzed again, the fifth unknown number that day. Another cryptic text. You can't hide, Sarah. Pay the price or Apex burns. Attached was a grainy photo of me jogging in Golden Gate Park that morning, my red hoodie unmistakable. My pulse spiked, the same dread from the car chase 2 nights ago flooding back. I'd gone to the office at midnight to grab my things, my Stanford diploma, my awards, a photo of Dad and me toasting Apex's first big wine and Lee, to be tailed by a black SUV through the dark streets of Menlo Park. I'd lost them on the freeway, my Tesla's speed my only ally, but the fear lingered. Was this the same hacker who'd threatened me after the gala? Quantum Dynamics, our cutthroat rival, was known for dirty tricks, but this felt personal, like someone inside Apex was feeding them intel. I called Michael, my lawyer friend, his voice a steady anchor. Sarah, you need to go to the FBI, he said, reviewing the blackmail email I'd forwarded. A disgruntled ex-engineer, fired for leaking code, had sent me my own proprietary AI algorithm, the heart of Apex's 500 million valuation, demanding 1 million or they'd sell it to Quantum. This is corporate espionage, maybe worse, Michael warned. And that car chase? You're not safe. I didn't want to hear it. Going to the authorities meant exposing Apex's dirty laundry, potentially tanking the IPO and the jobs of the 200 employees who'd trusted me. But staying silent meant letting the blackmailer tighten the noose. I needed clarity, so I drove to Palo Alto to meet Dr. Rachel Chen, my Stanford mentor turned tech mogul, at her favorite coffee shop, a minimalist spot with overpriced lattes and too many MacBooks. Rachel's sharp eyes scanned me as I slid into the booth, the ownership papers tucked in my bag like a guilty secret. You look like hell, she said bluntly, pushing a cappuccino toward me. Talk. I spilled everything the malware trap I'd triggered while uncovering the ownership transfer. The gala meltdown, the stalker, the blackmail. Rachel didn't flinch. You built Apex's tech, Sarah. That algorithm is yours, morally if not legally. Document every contribution, every line of code, every client call, every all-nighter. If you're going to fight, you need ammunition. Her words lit a fire in me. I spent the afternoon in her office, compiling a dossier, 10 years of commits, system architectures, client emails praising my work. It was a monument to my worth, and it felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. By evening, my work phone was blowing up. Nexus Corp's CEO Vanessa Liu left a voicemail. Sarah, we're pulling the 50 million contract unless you're back by Friday. Emily's presentation was a disaster. She didn't even understand the API spec. I smirked, imagining Emily floundering in front of Nexus's board, her influencer charm useless against hard tech questions. Then Dad called, his voice raw with panic. Sarah, this is bigger than your ego. Nexus is our lifeline. Come back now. I deleted it, but the weight of his words pressed on me. Apex was my creation, my legacy. Could I really let it crash and burn? That night, I couldn't sleep. The blackmailer's email haunted me, the code they'd leaked a ticking time bomb. I opened my laptop, digging into the zip file they'd sent, and found something chilling. Metadata showing the leak originated from an Apex server, time-stamped a week before Emily's ownership transfer. Someone inside had been planning this for months. Was it Dad, covering his tracks? Emily, out of her depth and desperate? Or a traitor on my own engineering team? I cross-referenced employee access logs, my fingers trembling as names popped up. Colleagues I'd trusted, mentored, shared late-night pizzas with. One name stood out. Ethan Carter, a senior developer I'd fired for sloppy work. He'd had access to the AI core and a grudge big enough to burn the company down. Before I could process it, my doorbell rang at 11 p.m. I froze, the stalker's texts flashing in my mind. Through the peephole, I saw Dad, his normally polished suit rumpled, his silver hair a mess. I opened the door, bracing myself. He didn't wait for an invitation, storming into my living room like a hurricane. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" he shouted, pacing. "Nexus is pulling out, Quantum's circling, and you're playing martyr." His voice cracked, betraying something I hadn't seen in years' fear. "You're the only one who can fix this, Sarah. Come back as VP of Engineering, double your salary, corner office, name your price." I crossed my arms, leaning against the wall. "A VP role under Emily, who owns 80% because you gave it to her. That's your offer?" His silence was deafening. "I want 45% ownership, co-CEO with Emily, and a 50-hour workweek cap. No more 100-hour marathons." Dad's eyes widened, his face reddening. "That's absurd. Emily's the face of the IPO. Investors love her. Then let her debug the AI," I snapped. "Nexus wants me, not her Instagram stories." He started to argue, but I cut him off. "Quantum Dynamics offered me CTO with equity. I could take half your clients with me." It was a bluff. Quantum's CEO, Garrett Westfield, had only hinted at an offer, but Dad's flinch told me it landed. He left without another word, the door slamming behind him. I sank onto my couch, the blackmailer's email still open on my laptop. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. I was fighting on too many fronts: me family, a stalker, a traitor, and my own crumbling sense of self. The next morning, Mom showed up with a lasagna, her signature move to soften me. "We're devastated, Sarah," she said, her eyes red from crying. "Your father loves you. We didn't mean to hurt you." I didn't buy it. "Love doesn't look like stealing my life's work," I said, pushing the lasagna away. "Why, Emily? Why not me?" Mom looked down, twisting her wedding ring. "Your father thought Emily's charisma would sell the IPO. You're too intense, too technical." The words stung like a slap. "And you agreed?" I asked. She didn't answer, but her silence was answer enough. That afternoon, I met Michael at his law firm, a sleek office overlooking the Bay Bridge. He'd reviewed the ownership papers and the blackmail email. "The transfer's legal," he said, "but you could sue for IP theft. That algorithm's your creation, and you've got the commits to prove it. But the blackmail, that's a federal crime. You need to act fast." I hesitated. Suing meant torching my family ties forever, and the FBI could expose Apex's vulnerabilities, killing the IPO. But doing nothing meant letting Ethanol, whoever was behind this, destroy me. I left Michael's office with a plan to confront Ethan. But first, I needed answers from Emily. I texted her, demanding a meeting. She replied instantly. "Coffee shop, 3 p.m., just us." I arrived early at a crowded cafe in the Mission District, my nerves on edge. Emily walked in, no longer the glamorous influencer, but a frazzled woman in jeans and a hoodie, her eyes shadowed. "I'm sorry, Sarah," she said before I could speak. "I didn't know Dad promised you Apex. He told me you were too valuable as CTO to take on ownership, that it was for the company's good." I stared at her, searching for lies, but her voice cracked with sincerity. "I'm drowning," she admitted. "The tech side's a nightmare." Nexus laughed me out of the room. "I'm not you." Her words hit hard, stirring a mix of pity and rage. "Then why take it?" I asked. She looked away, her fingers shredding a napkin. "Dad said it was temporary, to secure an offshore investor deal. He didn't tell me about you until the papers were signed." My blood ran cold. An offshore deal? That explained the encrypted files, the malware trap, maybe even the blackmail. "What investor?" I pressed. She hesitated. "Some group in Dubai. Dad said they wanted a relatable face, not a tech nerd. The insult burned, but the revelation was worse. Dad was playing a dangerous game, and I was collateral damage. Before I could dig deeper, my phone pinged with another anonymous text. "Check your email, now." I opened it, my heart sinking. The blackmailer had escalated, sending a video of me at my apartment window, filmed from across the street with a new demand: 2 million by tomorrow, or your code hits the dark web. I showed Emily, whose face went pale. "This is my fault," she whispered. I pushed Dad to digitize the legal files. Someone must have hacked them. I didn't trust her fully, but her fear seemed real. We agreed to meet with Dad and Mom the next day, with our family lawyer, Susan Lee, to negotiate. But I wasn't going in blind. I spent the night digging into the Dubai deal, hacking into Apex's financial ethics be damned. What I found was a 100 million wire transfer to a shell company, tied to a shadowy investor group with rumored ties to cybercrime. Dad wasn't just betraying me. He was risking Apex's entire future. The negotiation took place at a sleek restaurant overlooking the San Francisco skyline, the kind of place where tech deals were born and broken. Susan Lee, our lawyer, sat with a leather portfolio, her face unreadable. Dad looked like he hadn't slept in days. Mom was on the verge of tears, and Emily kept glancing at me like I might explode. I laid out my terms. 45% ownership, co-CEO with Emily, 50-hour work weeks and full transparency on the Dubai deal. Dad scoffed. "You're delusional. Emily's the face investors trust." I leaned forward, my voice ice. "Quantum's offering me CTO with equity. Nexus will follow me, and so will half your clients. Your choice." Susan raised an eyebrow, impressed. Emily spoke up, her voice shaking. "I'll give her 40% from my share. I can't do this alone, Dad. Sarah's the only one who can save us." The room went silent. Mom reached for my hand, but I pulled back. "You hid this for 3 months," I said. "Why should I trust you now?" Dad's face crumpled, a rare crack in his armor. "I screwed up," he admitted. "I thought Emily's charisma would seal the IPO, that you were too intense for investors. I was wrong." It was the closest he'd ever come to an apology, but it wasn't enough. Susan slid a draft agreement across the table. 40% ownership to me. CEO with Emily, Dad stepping back to consultant, and a mandatory 4-week vacation policy. I scanned it, my heart pounding. It was a victory, but the Dubai deal nagged at me. "Full disclosure on the investors," I added. "Or I walk." Dad nodded, defeated. As we signed the letter of intent, a new crisis hit. Vanessa Liu called mid-meeting, her voice furious. "Sarah, our lead investor's pulling 75 million unless you personally guarantee the project's delivery." "Emily's useless." I glanced at Emily, who looked crushed. "I'll handle it," I said, my resolve hardening. But the blackmailer wasn't done. That night, I got another email. A snippet of my code already posted on a dark web forum with a note. "Time's up." I called Michael, who looped in an FBI contact. They traced the leak to Ethan, now in hiding, but the damage was spreading. Apex's servers were under attack, a coordinated hack from Quantum Dynamics, exploiting the leaked code. I spent 12 hours in my apartment, fortified with coffee and adrenaline, patching the system while the FBI closed in on Ethan. The next morning, I found evidence that shook me to my core. Emily's brand ambassador role had been a cover for funneling funds to the Dubai investors. Her email trail showing she'd approved transfers without understanding their purpose. I confronted her at her loft, my anger barely contained. "Did you know you were laundering money?" I demanded. She broke down, sobbing. "I thought it was just marketing budgets. Dad said it was standard." I believed her, but the betrayal cut deeper. Dad had used us both, and now Apex was a house of cards. I took a 2-week hiking trip in Yosemite to clear my head. The towering sequoias, a stark contrast to the chaos of Silicon Valley. I slept under the stars, my phone off, letting the betrayal and fear fade into the rustle of leaves. When I returned, I met with a career coach, a no-nonsense woman who helped me set boundaries. No more 100-hour weeks, no more living for Apex alone. I joined a cycling club, adopted a scrappy terrier named Bite, and started dating Alex, a cybersecurity expert who'd helped me trace the hack. He was calm where I was fire, his dry humor a balm to my wounds. Back at Apex, Emily and I rebuilt from the ground up. She took on branding and investor relations, her charisma winning 3 new clients. I streamlined operations, saving the Nexus deal with a flawless virtual demo. Dad stepped back, his retirement plan accelerated. But the threats didn't stop. An employee, spooked by the ownership scandal, threatened to go to the SEC, risking our IPO. I negotiated a settlement, keeping it quiet. Then, a final hack attempt hit, Quantum's last-ditch effort to cripple us. I worked overnight, Alex by my side, securing the system just as the FBI arrested Ethan. A month later, Emily and I presented a 5-year plan to the board. Our collaboration seamless a vision, my execution. The room erupted in applause, projecting a $1 billion valuation. Dad watched from the back, his eyes holding something new. Respect. Over dinner that night, he raised a glass. "You two are better than I ever was," he said, his voice thick. It wasn't an apology, but it was enough. As I drove home, Bite curled in the passenger seat. I felt a weight lift. I'd fought for my worth, not just in Apex, but in myself. The scars of betrayal would fade, but the future mine to code was just beginning.